Hello there, Cocomelons. Welcome to Educate. Let us do the continental drift theory as well as the theory of plate tectonics. So you might have heard this, but you don't know what is it talking about. First, you can hear continental drift theory, so we need to look at continents. How do continents look like? So continents look like this on an atlas. So basically, these are the continents that we have. We have got a couple of continents that you can label. This one is the most common one because you are definitely in Africa. Okay, most of my viewers are in Africa, of course. And then this one is South America. And then this one is North America. This one is North America. And then the top one here is Asia. Okay, I don't know if it's classified as a continent or not, the Australia, but I will try to find out on that. So basically, these are the continents that we have. You also have got Europe somewhere here. Maybe you've got Europe somewhere here. So this is how the continents look like, but some meteorologist or a scientist that is known as Alfred Wegener in 1912 actually suggested that the continents, they actually make up pieces or parts of a puzzle. So this actually suggests that here, look at this shape. Look at this shape. This is South America. The shape of South America here and the shape of Africa here, the parts that I've highlighted on this, you can actually see that if you were to bring these two parts together, if you were to bring these two continents together, they would fit into each other. So it's more like we are suggesting that these are pieces of a puzzle. The continents that we have right now in the modern day, they look like pieces that can make up a puzzle. So Alfred Wegener, which is the scientist in 1912, thought that the continents, they make up pieces of a puzzle. So he had to assume and to be like, if we were to combine this into pieces of a puzzle, how would this look like? And he drafted something like this. So he said that the continents would look like this, because now you can see that we have actually combined Africa, South America, North America, as well as the other continents as well. But now here for this particular diagram, the label, some of the continents such as Eurasia doesn't really exist anymore. And India is no longer a continent, is now just a country in Asia. So now, how did this even came to be? Because here, if Alfred Wegener assumed that the continents were joined together or the continents were one big continent, how did the continents ever separated? How did they end up separating? Because in this modern day, we have got continents that look like this. But if he claims that they were combined or they were one big continent like this, how did they split? That's where we gave birth to the continental drift theory. The continental drift theory just suggests that the continents were together but they splitted or they separated. So Alfred Wegener suggested that the theory of continental drift is applicable to say that all continents were joined to be one, but then they separated or they drifted apart. That's why it is known as continental drift theory, because the continents are drifting apart from each other. Look at this video carefully. In this video, you can see that here we have got continents that are joined together, all the continents, but they are separating or they are moving away from each other. So this is what he suggested is actually what had happened in the past. So to explain this movement, because he claimed that this took hundreds of millions of years to happen. So to explain the movement of the continents away from each other, we can use this model of Pangaea as well as Laurasia, Gondwanaland, as well as the modern day. But what is this in the first place? So to explain the movement of continents over time, you first start with this big continent. So the continents were all joined to form one big continent, and that big continent was known as Pangaea. So before we had Africa, Asia, as well as North America and South America, we suggest that all the continents, they were joined together to form one big continent, and the name of the continent is Pangaea. So Pangaea is just the name of that one big continent that he thought that all the continents were combined, okay, to be one big Pangaea. So the name of that big place containing Africa and everything else is Pangaea. But now, this actually happened during the Permian period, which is just 250 million years ago. And then now it happened that the Pangaea actually split into two supercontinents, which is Gondwanaland as well as Laurasia. So he says that from being a Pangaea, one big continent, this actually split it into two supercontinents, which is the Laurasia as well as the Gondwana or the Gondwanaland. So you can say Gondwana or Gondwanaland. So you can see that here, at first we had a one big Pangaea, but in the second image, we have got a Laurasia here. It's just one continent above here is the Laurasia, and we have got the remaining here as the Gondwana. You can see that Africa is showing up here. So this is Gondwanaland, this is Laurasia. And then it happens that this Gondwanaland and Laurasia further split it again so that we can have the continents that we have today. Because in the modern day, you have got 1, you have got 2, you have got 3, you have got 4, you have got 5 continents around there. Okay, so basically to have the modern day continents that we have here, it is said that first we had Pangaea split into Laurasia and Gondwanaland, which existed 200 million years ago, and then to the modern day, we now have got around 5 continents. So now, what actually made Alfred Wegener to come up to this conclusion, or what evidence, or what actually made him or prompted him to think that this is valid and true? So the evidences of continental drift are as follows. We can start with the continents fitting perfectly, because we have already said that the continents, they look like pieces of a puzzle, such that it suggests that they were all together before they separated due to some reasons. So you can see that here we have got Africa here. This is Africa, and then this is the shape of South America. So this is Africa, and then this is South America. So you can see one thing, definitely something that you cannot ignore, is that these continents actually fit into each other perfectly. So they fit into each other perfectly. So of all the combinations that we have, Africa and South America fit into each other perfectly. So this is one of the evidences of continental drift, because basically the fact that they are fitting into each other perfectly, it means that they were one big continent, but they've separated. Because remember, in a puzzle, you have got two pieces that are two broken pieces, and then they are being fitted to make one big image. So in a sense here, we're trying to say that we had one big continent, and then it's split into different subcontinents, the ones that we have in the modern day. The other is that there were same types of rocks that were found on different continents. That is, for example, if you were to go to Africa, you would find a certain type of rock, and then you could find the same type of rock in North America. For example, you find a rock here, you also find it here. So basically, this actually tells us that these were actually one big continent sharing the same rocks and the same resources, but because of this continental drift and this split, it actually caused the rocks to split away and to split to the continent. So in a sense here, we're trying to say that the same types of rocks being found among different continents is a solid evidence for us to say that continental drift theory occurred. And then the other thing, the fossils were found on different continents, and those fossils actually match. Remember that fossils are just the remains of organisms that have already died before, and then they are just bones. They're actually the skeletons of some organisms. So basically, those skeletons of some organisms, they were found on different continents and they matched. For example, if you were to look here at this species here, maybe this is a dinosaur or something like that, it was found across South America as well as in Africa. The same type of fossil, that is the same type of skeleton of the animal. And then look at this, I think this is a crocodile or something like this. It was found in South America as well as in Africa, as well as in Antarctica, as well as in Australia. So basically you can see that we are finding the same species, or we are finding the same skeletons of dead organisms in different continents. So it can suggest to us that this was actually one big continent with the same animals in it, but because of this continental drift, the animals separated and some of them died along different continents. Hence, we can count this as an evidence for continental drift theory. The other one, it is the glacier deposits. So the glacier deposits that occur when we have got ice are also matching along different continents. So now, what we have explained that what has happened here is that the continents have drifted apart, but now we want to give a how. How did the continents drift apart? That's what we want to answer, to say that how can we imagine two continents drifting apart or moving away from each other? So now that's where we bring the theory of plate tectonics to answer how did the continents end up moving away from each other. So to explain the movement of continents, we actually believe that continents are placed on plates, and those plates have got boundaries and then they can move away from each other. So we are trying to say that a plate is just a small piece of land that has got a particular continent on it. So for example, if we say that we have got Africa here, this is Africa. Okay, it's fine. I'm not good at drawing, so we're just going to take the Africa on the map. So here is Africa. So this piece of land surrounding Africa, this is the plate that you find the African continent in it. So this is a plate. This is a plate. So a plate is just a piece of land where you find a continent in it. So each and every continent, it is believed that it has got its own plate. This one also has got its own plate. South America also has got its own plate. So this is another plate. So we actually believe that these two plates, they actually separated. These two pieces of land that hold the continents within them, they actually separated and they moved away from each other, causing the continents to actually drift apart. But now let us try to label on a more organized diagram the plates and their boundaries. So now, first of all, we can start with a common one to say that this is where we find Africa. So this whole plate that we are highlighting here, this whole piece of land here where we find Africa in it, this whole piece of land where we find Africa in it, this is known as the African plate. So this piece of land is known as the African plate. And then we've got also another piece of land next to the African plate, this one that I'm highlighting in blue, this one. And it has got which continent in it? It has got the South American continent, South America continent. So basically, this is the South American plate. This is the South American. This is the South American plate. And then we can label another one here. This is another one. This is another plate. This is another piece of land where we find a continent. Although here it is not evident that there is any continent in it, but we believe that back then there was a continent. This is known as the Nazca plate. So this is known as the Nazca plate. This is known as the Nazca plate. And then now the other one that you can look at here, you have got a plate on top, this one highlighted in green. So this whole big piece of land highlighted in green currently. Let me just highlight it one more time in yellow. This whole big piece of land, you can see that its plate is highlighted in green here. Which continent do we find in it? We find the North American continent, North America. So this has to be the North American plate. So this is North American plate. So we just named the plates based on the continents that we find in them, because here we found Africa in the African plate, we found South America in the South American plate, and so on and so forth. If we keep labeling the same thing, we can see that here, this boundary, this is another boundary. This one that I'm highlighting is another boundary, which tells us that this whole piece of land, it is known as the Eurasian plate. Eurasian plate. So that's where you find Asia, the continent Asia. This is known as the Eurasian plate. And then there are many more minor plates, but you don't have to focus too many on them. Yeah, of course, there are many more minor plates. But here, after the Nazca plate here, you have got this whole plate that is known as the Pacific plate. This is known as the Pacific plate. So we are talking about this whole section here. This whole section here, just next to the Nazca plate. So you can even look at the Philippines plate. That's the small section here. It's another plate where you find Philippines, the continent Philippines. So this is the Philippines plate. So this one is Philippines plate. So these are the plate boundaries that we have. And then here we have got the one of Australia. I already forgot it. But here, this one, the one that we are finding here at the bottom, this piece of land here, that is your Australian plate. So that's your Australian plate. But then most of the times they like saying this is an Indo-Australian. Indo-Australian. Yes, we find Australia in it. This is an Indo-Australian plate. So these are the different types of plates that we have from North American plate, from African plate, and all that. But for you to give the name of a plate, you only depend on the type of continent that you find, or the name of the continent that you find in that piece of land. Because after all, the plates are just pieces of land where you find the continents in them. So how does this actually explain that the continent splitted? You can see that here the African plate actually meets with the South American plate. So we believe that when the continents were still bounded, or they were still together, they actually did what? They actually separated. So as the plates separated, the continents also separated, because we believe that the plates are just the lands that have got the what? That have got the continents in them. So when these plates separate, or when these pieces of land separate, what will happen? The continents will also drift apart, which actually results in continental drift theory being a possible explanation for the drifting of the continents. So now we can just look at the boundaries, because basically the plates do not only move away from each other. So the plates don't only move away from each other, they can also move towards each other. The pieces of land, they can move towards each other. So plates, they can move away from each other. We say that they are divergent. So basically, we believe that for us to separate two continents, just like what happened in the continental drift theory, the plates moved away from each other. So we say that the plates were divergent, or they diverged away from each other. So you would see that these pieces of land here, which are the plates, this is one plate here, this is one piece of land, which is having a continent in it. And then this is another piece of land having a continent in it. So you can see that the arrows indicate that they are moving away from each other, or they are drifting apart. So here, this is a divergent movement. So whenever they use the word divergent, it means that they are moving away from each other. The plates are moving away from each other. Or it can happen that the land can move towards each other. So the plates, they can move towards each other. So we say that those are convergent. So convergent just means that you've got your plates here, and the plates are moving towards each other. So the plates move towards each other. So the lands are actually clashing. The lands are actually colliding, something like that, that effect. And then what also possible is that the plates, they can pass each other sideways. So it can happen that each plate can go in different directions, and they can just pass each other sideways, or they can just slide past each other. So you can say they are passing each other, or they are sliding past each other. But keep in mind that these plates are just pieces of land, and they're having continents in them. So here, when we're talking about a plate boundary, we are talking about the place where two plates are combined, or they are conjoined. So this is the plate boundaries. All these highlighted by lines, these are the boundaries of the plates. So we have got different types of boundaries of the plates depending on what's happening with the plates, because the plates, they can move away from each other, causing the lanes to split, or they can clash into each other, they can collide into each other, or they can slide past each other. So let's try to look at the boundaries to say, when they're gonna meet each other, what will happen? How would they look like? So basically, let's look at the type of plate boundaries. So the plate boundaries can be also known as the margins. So this is also known as the margins. So if they say type of margin or type of plate boundary, it still suggests the same thing. It's all about looking at what happens when two, or between at that boundary, or at that border between two pieces of land, or between two plates. So looking at that, we have got a collision boundary. That's the first one. So a collision boundary or a collision margin, it is basically when you've got two pieces of land and they are clashing into each other, they are colliding into each other. Basically, it means that here the plates are converging or the plates are moving towards each other. So we say it's known as a collision boundary. The collision boundary simply means we're talking about this land where they meet, because here we've got one plate moving in this direction, this is another piece of land moving in this direction. So when these clash into each other, or when these move towards each other, or when these collide, what actually happens? We can actually cause rocks as well as the land to be uplifted, because they are colliding into each other. The rocks and the land will be uplifted. The rocks and the land will be uplifted. So as they move towards each other, they will actually create fold mountains. We're still going to talk about folding and faulting later on in another separate video, but here the idea is that the collision boundary is this boundary whereby the plates are converging, and then they actually cause the rocks to be uplifted or the rocks to go up. And then when the rocks go up, we say those are fold mountains, literally a mountain. So for us to form a mountain, this is one of the strategies. You just have to take two pieces of land and make sure that they converge or they clash into each other. We also have got a constructive or a divergent boundary. So in a constructive or in a divergent boundary, we have got two plates or two pieces of land that are moving away from each other. So here we have got one piece of land moving that direction, another piece of land moving that direction. So they are moving towards different directions and they are divergent. Okay, basically when you say that they are divergent, so it's more like the land is being torn apart because the pieces of land are moving away from each other. This actually is what happens when two continents are separating. So in a sense here, what will happen? Most of the times, the molten rock, remember that we have got the mantle, which is the layer that is found below the crust. The mantle here, this layer, known as the mantle, I've already covered on that video. I'll drop the link in the description. So basically here, the mantle has got molten magma, and this magma can start rising and filling up this space. So it can fill up this place. So this can actually cause volcanoes, but you don't have to mention that for now because we're still going to do a topic on volcanoes. So basically in a constructive or in a divergent boundary, you've got two plates that are moving away from each other, and then they are causing magma to fill the empty space. So magma is just a liquid rock. So this liquid rock will just fill in the empty space because the land is being torn apart. So the remaining empty space will be filled in by magma that is coming from the mantle layer. And then we have got a conservative or a transform boundary. In a conservative boundary, we have got two plates or two pieces of land that are sliding past each other. So one is going that way, one's going that way. So they are sliding side by side and they are meeting at this position. So this is known as a conservative boundary. So it occurs when the plates they are sliding past each other. There are no necessary volcanoes or landforms that can form here, but basically when you've got a conservative or a transform boundary, you have got this boundary or this piece of land, when these two slide past each other, it is known as a conservative boundary or a transform boundary. Then we've got lastly the destructive or the subduction boundary. So something is being subdued into something else. So here you have got two type of different crusts. You have got an ocean. This is an ocean, of course. So we say this is an oceanic crust. And then this is an oceanic crust, as well as this is a continental crust. So you've got a land and an ocean. So here this is a different scenario. These are not just two pieces of land, just like the tectonics that we have done previously. So this is the continental crust. This is the oceanic crust. So the oceanic crust, it is moving towards this direction. And then this is the continental crust here. So here, the destructive or the subduction boundary occurs when the oceanic crust sinks below the continental crust. So basically here, because the continental crust is at a higher height or it is high up, what actually happens? The oceanic crust will just slide past. It will just sink below the continental crust. So the oceanic crust will just sink below the continental crust. So this actually causes two lands to have an ocean between them. It is because the oceanic crust, it is just sinking, or it is subducing below the what? Below the continental crust. So this boundary where these two meet, it is known as the destructive or the subduction boundary. Thank you, my wonderful cocoa melons, for watching this video. Don't forget to stay tuned for our next video as we go into folding and folding. Tell your friends to stay tuned.